Hello, everyone. This is list 2 for Wednesday, August 28th. Price list will go out from Shortcuts Records at 9 p.m. on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Sydney time. So, if you would like to be on the price list to potentially get your hands on the records that I'm talking about tonight, then drop me an email, shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. This second list is a genre list. So we've got some jazz, blues, punk, ska. What else do we have? Some disco. We'll see where we land. So I've chosen this record as the kickoff. This is The Night Fly by Donald Fagan. What an odd human being Donald Fagan is. There were, 8 or 9 Steely Dan records packed into a pretty short period in the 70s. And every one of those records has, at some point, a song about a sleazy guy, a freak, someone who's an outcast. And often with these oblique but very pointy and sometimes funny lyrics. And so when Walter Becker and Donald Fagan kind of went separate ways, and I think it was around 1980, there was a lot of curiosity. What would Donald Fagan come back with? Well, what he came back with was a smash success. It was the first single, IGY, which is the opening track on the record, was a hit. It was played on the radio. The album got a slew of Grammy nominations. Didn't win anything, which I think Song of the Year for IGY would have been fair. I think. What a beautiful world this could be. This will be what a glorious time to be free. Get your ticket to that wheel in space while there's time. Really cool song. Think of The Night Fly like a more upbeat and happy gaucho. And I think he set out to do that. I think he set out to do something that was less unnerving than Steely Dan. And I think he succeeded. I love, by the way, this is the Japanese First Press, one of my favorite records of all time. And I know a lot of you have this record, so there's certainly plenty of interest and love for this. I think I love the sleeve, and the sleeve is amazing. The titular Night Fly holding forth on his microphone, playing some records, 2 a.m, smoking, perusing in whatever little studio this is. It's just wonderful. But also this lovely lyric sheet. And then Donald Fagan wrote this comment that was on the inside notes of the gatefold of the original, but in the Japanese is on this inner, and it says, "The songs in this album represent certain fantasies that might have been entertained by a young man growing up in the remote suburbs of a northeastern city during the late 50s and early 60s, i.e., one of my general height, weight, and build." So this is the fantasy world of a young Donald Fagan somewhere, I don't know where he was from, regional New York or whatever it might be. And this is what he came up with. And so the opening side, man, IGY, great. Green Flower Street, beautiful. Ruby Baby. I think it's a cover version. But then Maxine, one of my favorite songs on the whole record. So beautiful and mellow. And it doesn't have the pointy edges of Steely Dan. It's just gorgeous. I mean, some say that we're reckless They say we're much too young. Tell us to stop before we've begun. We've got to hold out till graduation. Try to hang on, Maxine. It's, planning a life with your beautiful girlfriend when you're a young man. Who doesn't? Who doesn't love that? Side 2 starts off with New Frontier, which is a little bit more upbeat, but then you hit the titular, The Night Fly. I'm Lester the Night Fly. Hello, Baton Rouge. Won't you turn your radio down? Respect the 7-second delay we use. So when you're talking on the radio, you've got to turn it down because there's a delay. But even now, this completely plays out. The jingle is like the jingle of the radio station that he's part of. Everything about this is perfect. The production, it's so tasteful yet not cheesy in any way. I've got plenty of Java and Chesterfield Kings. You can see the Chesterfield Kings. He's smoking his way through them. It's just great. Love this record. If you don't have a beautiful copy of Nightfly, then here's your chance. And the Japanese press of this is legendary for a reason. It's great. Of course you can buy super expensive represses of this record. And it lends itself to that type of obsession just because of how it was made. It was, I guess, took the guts of a year. But this is what I have, and I love it. All right. Got some blues and then some Van the Man. How about this? This 2-record compilation of the best of Howlin' Wolf. What a sleeve that is. Look at this. What you get, the Chess Masters series of the 70s is one of the great blues compilations series. It was done with such love and attention. Look at these beautiful notes. They curated the greatest versions of these songs, because a lot of these songs had multiple versions. All Platinum Chess Records proudly present the Chess Blues Masters series, featuring rare and some previously unreleased sides from the Chess Records catalogues by some of the greatest names in the blues. Could not say it better myself. The 6'3" Man Mountain, 300 pounds at his heaviest. The completely legendary Howlin' Wolf. Couldn't really play guitar very well. Couldn't even blow harp that well. But that voice was a statement of its own. And from about kind of early 50s through to 65, he released a series of singles and album tracks that were damn great. Killin' Floor became, the Lemon Song by Led Zeppelin. Smokestack Lightning became one of the most covered blues songs in the history of the genre. Moanin' at Midnight, probably my favourite of his tracks, is an absolute influence on Tom Waits, one of my heroes. Wang Dang Doodle, Who's Been Talking, Sitting on Top of the World, Evil Is Going On. So in the track notes here, you get a couple of tracks from Moan at Midnight, a couple of tracks from from the late 60s. So Smokestack Lightning, recorded January 1956 with Willie Johnson on lead guitar. Moaning for My Baby, Who's Been Talking, Sitting on Top of the World and Tell Me, recorded 1957. So this goes from 51 to 65. The genuine best of the Howlin' Wolf. One of the greatest compilation blues albums there ever was. And talking about compilation albums, this next one is really hard to find on vinyl. The Best of Van Morrison. And this is because, of course, I think this came out in 1990. And this is the height of the CD age. So this really didn't make its way onto wax too often. Now, can I just say, this copy is as close to a mint first press as you will ever see. There is zero evidence that this thing has ever been played. It is pristine. Absolutely immaculate. So many of us had this record on CD. I know I did. I played it to death. My mum had it. She played it to death as well. Opening track, Bright Side of the Road, Gloria Moondance. More on that in a second. Brown Eyed Girl, Sweet Thing. Jackie Wilson Said. Finishing with Whenever God Shines His Light, Cleaning Windows, and Domino. Absolutely wonderful. I mentioned Moondance. Here you have the probably most accessible record in the entire canon of the mighty Van Morrison. And this is another beautiful, I mean beautiful copy. It's super hard to get Japanese copies of this record. They're so tightly held. Like $150 doesn't even do it. But these Aussie copies that I've got right here are in fantastic condition. If you don't have really sweet copies of those and you fancy a bit of Van the Man, you could do a lot worse. All right, before I hit some punk, I am going to talk about this record. Probably my favorite Nina Simone record, Pastel Blues. And it is one of these weird records where there's a singular track that is so great that it absolutely overshadows what's there, but still turns into a great record. And Metal is another one of those with echoes. And the song here is the closing track on this record, which is called Sinner Man. It is 10 minutes of the most joyous, absolutely beautiful music that has ever been put to wax. And what is doubly, absolutely mad about this track is that it follows straight after Strange Fruit, which has to be one of the greatest civil rights protest songs ever. Strange Fruit Hanging from the Tree. Absolutely wonderful record. I love the Japanese first press for this. I have it on my shelf. That's why I get it every time I see it on the Blue Mercury label. If you are in any way a Nina Simone fan, check out Pastel Blues. It's utterly wonderful. All right, now for something completely different. There's a genre that I am relatively unfamiliar with, but I've been dipping my toe in the water. In the last 8 weeks, I have bought Pure Mania by The Vibrators. I have bought I'm Stranded by The Saints. I have bought Young, Dead and Snotty by The Dead Boys. Young, Snotty and whatever it is, The Dead Boys. I have bought more classic punk in the last 2 months than probably any other genre. I've been really getting into it. And I've been picking up a few collections. And there are some records in these collections that I'm going to share to the club. They are in incredible quality, really interesting kind of ska punk. And so here we go. I'm going to start with this one. Charge GBH, you became GBH, Grievous Bodily Harm, for those of you who don't know the acronym. This record's called City Baby, Attacked by Rats. In UK, I think it's a UK first press, or certainly a first press based out of Europe. In absolutely fantastic condition. So I gave this a listen and I've been reading some of the reviews. So this is a band from Birmingham who signed on the Roadrunner label. Roadrunner were, I think, either Dutch or German, but they had the run on these really interesting hardcore bands in the 80s. Put out a bunch of really great records, including, I think, even some Metallica. And listening to GBH, I can definitely hear punk and thrash metal. So I am convinced there's a few of you out there now going, yes, I want that. GBH. Wonderful quality, really, really nice pressing. What about this? This is deeply fascinating. So this is Black and White, the third record by the mighty Stranglers, after Rattus, Leviticus, and No More Heroes. They came back with something that was actually quite radically different to what they'd been playing before. This album has keyboards, it's spiky, it's got poppy moments, it's got really kind of racy bass moments. It's really cool. Like, they really stepped up their game on this record, even though I love Rattus Norvegicus as well. But look at this. The US first press went out in a grey marble vinyl in 1978. So this is 1978. Look at that. The black label and the white label. Black and white, everything. Look, the one side of the lyric sheet, the other side of the lyric sheet. They went all in on this design. In 1978, look, white and black. This was the year that really punk died and post-punk began. And there is an argument that this is the first post-punk record. You can hear Gang of Four on here for sure. I reckon this is a crazy influential record. And I know there are Stranglers nuts out there. And that grey marble US first press, that's pretty damn cool. All right, we've got some Japanese punk here now as well. I've had this only once before, and I had a few people inquire. Return of the Slits second album, kind of mixes punk with more kind of world beat, and it's really wild. Anton Corbijn doing the photographs, and it's really cool, interesting record on the Epic label. That is the Japanese first press of Return of the Giant Slits. All right, now I promised some kind of ska. There's a bit to come. This is really rare. This is Cock Sparrer. They were another kind of punk band played by John Peel a lot. Colin McFall. There's a little kind of bio here that tells you the story of how, they probably should have been bigger than they were, but songs like Watch Your Back, Where Are They Now, White Riot, England Belongs to Me, you get a sense of the type of music. It's actually quite accessible, really cool, interesting punk. And again, I imagine on Link Records there's someone out there going, that's me. And then finally, we have some American ska. This is the Toasters. Look at that for a sleeve. It is so two-tone it hurts. Yet, this is out of, what city is this out of? Oh, no, the Toasters, I think were Welsh, but they were, or maybe this record was released by a Welsh label, but I've seen the Toasters on American ska compilations. I'm not quite sure, but you can get a sense of the type of record this is. Tracks, East Side Beat, Mr. Trouble, Manipulator, and your ABCs. So because it's ska, you've got clarinet, alto sax, you got the harping, crazy horns with the wonderful kind of chugging guitar. Special thanks. The whole NYC ska crew. Yeah, so these guys are from the east side of New York City. This is a UK release, though, of one of their EPs. Okay, I've got only a few quick records to go. I'm just going to spin this one by. This is hard to find. This is a absolutely pristine Aussie first press of Off the Wall by MJ. And there's a couple of blues records I'm going to finish in something really special. From the blues box that I've been raiding this last few weeks, Lightning Slims, We're Gonna Rock Tonight. This is unplayed, absolutely pristine on the Fly-Right label. If you love blues guitar, lightning slim. I'm sure some of you picked up the blues records from earlier in the month. They're absolutely pristine. Brilliant album. And this as well, One Nighter Blues by B.B. King. This is a compilation of some of B.B. King's greatest 50s singles. He had a run of hit singles in the 50s that will blow your mind. They're all incredible, and they're compiled on this. One Nighter Blues, B.B. King. I think this compilation runs from 52 to 58. Mighty B.B. King. Finally, this is a very special record to me. This is a very rare album indeed. I just had a look on Discogs. This record is going for crazy money on Discogs. It is a very rare Blue Label promo. And it is a Blue Label promo of my favourite John Coltrane album, which is called Coltrane Plays the Blues. Opening 3 tracks, Blues to Elvin, Blues to Bechet, and Blues to You, gives you kind of a clue to the grooves that are in this record. But what's really kind of quirky and typical Coltrane is that the second side, Mr. Day, Mr. Sims, and Mr. Knight, all tracks written by Coltrane himself, are even bluesier. They are really bluesy. They're a proper 12-bar blues with this beautiful mellow jazz over the top. Blues to You is quite raucous. The closing track on side one of the completely kind of out there tracks. No piano on that particular track, but personnel: John Coltrane, McCoy Tyner, Steve Davis, and Elvin Jones. Bloody hell. What a band. Tom Dowd recorded this one. I've been reading a lot about the criticisms of Rudy Van Gelder on Blue Note and trying to compare some of my Blue Note records to some of my Atlantic and Riverside records. So it's kind of interesting. But this is utterly magnificent. It's quite expensive, but if you really want to treat yourself for Father's Day, I would say this record is genius. And I don't say that lightly. I don't even really particularly like John Coltrane, but I love this album. There you go. That is the genre selection: blues, ska, punk, and jazz. There you have it. If you would like to be on the price list, drop me an email, shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. If you made it this far, well done you. Drop me a comment, do all those things. It's really important to me. And thanks so much. All right, bye.